Jiwan burst into Taemin's quarters at dawn. Her face was serious. "We have a problem," she said. Throck called his clan. 15 more Vexier warriors just docked at the station. Taemin was making coffee. He did not look surprised. "I expected this. Pride makes people stupid. 18 Vexier warriors, Taemin. We only have 12 people. Numbers do not matter when one side has discipline and the other does not. But we need more equipment, and I need to make a call." 2 days later, a human transport ship arrived. It was registered as a diplomatic supply vessel. The cargo manifest showed food, medical supplies, and cultural items. That was not all it carried. Hidden among the supplies were 30 people. Ex-military, special operations. People who owed Taemin favors from his service days. They brought equipment that was non-lethal but very sophisticated. Tactical displays that let everyone see what everyone else saw. Advanced communication systems. Detailed plans for urban warfare. Everything needed to turn 42 individuals into a single fighting force. Doyen heard about the new arrivals. He came to find Taemin in the human quarter. "This is getting out of control," Doyen said. "You brought more soldiers?" The Vexier escalated first. "I am matching their escalation. Someone will die." "Is that what you want?" Taemin stopped what he was doing and looked at the young diplomat. "Come with me." He took Doyen to the medical bay where Hana was finishing her recovery. She was reading on her bed. When she saw her father, she smiled, but her eyes still had fear in them. "Look at her," Taemin said quietly. "She is 14 years old. She apologized for bumping into someone, and for that her arm was broken and her ribs were cracked." Doyen said nothing. "What would have happened if we did nothing?" Taemin asked. The ambassador dismissed the complaint. The Vexier faced no consequences. What lesson does that teach? That they can hurt humans whenever they want. But you are starting a war. No, I am ending one before it begins. The Vexier will either learn respect or they will learn fear. Either way, they will never hurt another human on this station. They left Hana to her reading. Outside, Doyen struggled with what he had seen. "You really think this will work?"
he asked. "Yes, because we are not fighting them."
"We are teaching them. And humans are very good teachers when we need to be." The Vexier were planning their attack. 18 warriors gathered in their clan ship. Throck stood before them, his pride wounded but his determination strong. "The humans embarrassed us," he said. "They used tricks and coordination. But they are still weak. We attack together. We drive them from this station. We show the galaxy that Vexier cannot be defeated." The warriors roared their approval. They had never lost. They would not start now. They planned to attack the human quarters. All 18 at once. They would overwhelm the humans with numbers and strength. They did not know that Taemin had prepared for exactly this scenario. The human quarters had been transformed. Using legal safety barriers and smart positioning, every corridor had become a defensive strongpoint. Every intersection was covered from multiple angles. The humans had turned their home into a fortress. Taemin briefed his expanded team. 42 people now, all linked by communication systems that let them act as one. "The Vexier will attack as a wave," he explained. "They will expect to overwhelm us with numbers. But they still do not understand coordinated defense. We will use the terrain. We will use mutual support. We will show them what happens when individual warriors face a real military force." He pointed to the tactical map. "Team 1 holds Corridor A. When the Vexier push, you fall back in good order to Position 2. Team 2 provides covering fire with stun weapons. Team 3 flanks from Corridor C. We do not meet them head-on. We control the space. We dictate the engagement." Everyone nodded. They had trained for this. Urban combat. Defensive operations. Using intelligence to overcome superior numbers, the Vexier attacked at midnight. 18 warriors moved through the station toward the human quarters. They expected fear. They expected chaos. Instead, they found silence. The first group of Vexier entered a corridor. It looked empty. Then barriers dropped behind them, cutting off retreat. Lights flashed. Sound weapons disoriented them. Humans appeared from side passages with riot shields and stun weapons. The Vexier tried to fight back, but the corridor was too narrow for them to use their numbers. The humans worked together perfectly, each one covering another, rotating positions, never giving the warriors a clear target. Within minutes, 6 Vexier were down. The second group heard the commotion and rushed to help. They ran directly into another prepared position. The humans had set up crossfire. Stun weapons hit from 3 directions at once. More Vexir fell. Throck realized they were not in a fight. They were in a trap. The humans had prepared for this. Every corridor was a kill zone. Every intersection was covered. He tried to order a retreat, but the humans had cut off the exits. There was nowhere to run. The battle was not really a battle. It was a demonstration of superior tactics. The humans moved like water, flowing around obstacles, supporting each other, never making the same mistake twice. When a Vexir tried to charge, the humans created distance. When the warriors tried to regroup, humans struck from new angles. It was like fighting smoke. The enemy was everywhere and nowhere. 1 hour later, all 18 Vexir warriors were subdued. Not one human was seriously injured. Taman walked through the aftermath. The Vexir lay on the ground, stunned but alive. They were conscious enough to understand what had happened. He stopped in front of Throck. "This is why humans have wars," Taman said. His voice was calm but firm. "Not because we are violent. Because we learned that survival requires more than individual strength. It requires strategy. It requires coordination. It requires the ability to fight as one." He knelt beside the fallen guard. "You hurt my daughter thinking you were strong. You brought 17 more warriors thinking numbers would win. You were wrong both times. You are not strong. You are just big, and big does not matter when small is smart." Throck could not speak. His pride was destroyed. His confidence was shattered. For the first time in his life, he understood that he was not superior. He was just lucky to have never faced a real military force. Ambassador Yurin Vel arrived with station security. She looked at the scene in shock. 18 Vexir warriors defeated. 42 humans standing calmly, not even breathing hard. "What happened here?" she demanded. Jiwan stepped forward with a datapad. "The Vexir launched an illegal assault on human residential quarters. We defended ourselves using non-lethal force. All actions were in accordance with station regulations. We have complete documentation." The ambassador could not argue. The evidence was clear. The Vexir had attacked. The humans had defended, and they had done it without killing anyone. She looked at Taman. Her insect eyes showed something that might have been respect. "You have made your point, Mr. Ko." "Have I? Because my daughter still has nightmares, and these warriors still think violence makes them powerful. Maybe the Galactic Union needs to learn something too." "What lesson is that?" "That humans did not come to the stars because we are peaceful. We came because we are survivors, and survivors know how to fight when they must. The question is whether the galaxy wants to see more of what we can do, or if they want to treat us with respect." The ambassador understood. This was not just about one injured child anymore. This was about humanity's place in the galactic order. Word of what happened spread through the station like fire. Humans, the species everyone thought was weak, had defeated 18 Vexir warriors without killing anyone. They had used tactics and coordination that most species did not even understand. Merchant Lord Xanthi watched recordings of the battle. He saw how the humans moved, how they communicated, how they turned a disadvantage into an advantage. The Kalesh merchant was clever. He understood what others did not. Humans had brought something new to the galaxy. Not better weapons, not stronger bodies, but military science. The accumulated knowledge of thousands of years of warfare. Other species watched and learned. The quiet humans who worked in logistics and maintenance were not what they seemed. They were warriors who chose peace, and that made them more dangerous than warriors who knew nothing else. The galaxy was watching humanity now, and they were seeing something that made them afraid and respectful at the same time. They were seeing why humans, despite being physically weak, had conquered their own planet. They were seeing why Earth's history was filled with wars. Not because humans were violent, because humans were very, very good at organized violence when they needed to be, and now the galaxy knew it too. Cargo Bay 7 was empty and cold. The lights cast long shadows across the metal floor. Taman stood in the center, hands behind his back, waiting. Around the perimeter, hidden in the shadows, 12 humans waited. They wore tactical gear. Each one had an assigned position. Each one knew exactly what to do. The bay doors opened. Throck entered first, his scales gleaming under the lights. Behind him came Krell and Vesh, 3 of the largest, strongest Vexir on the station. Throck saw Taman standing alone and smiled. This human looked small and weak. No weapons, no armor. Just standing there. "You wanted to talk?" Throck said, his voice echoing in the empty bay. "Yes. Taman said calmly. About what you did to my daughter. Throck shrugged his massive shoulders. The small one who was careless? She learned a lesson about respect. No, you learned nothing. But you will. That was when the lights came on around the bay. 12 humans stepped out of the shadows. They formed a tactical perimeter, cutting off all exits. Each one carried riot shields, stun batons, and other non-lethal equipment. Throck looked around. His smile faded. Taman continued speaking. You and your guards think you understand strength. You are big. You are strong. You can hurt smaller beings. You think this makes you powerful? We are powerful, Throck growled. No, you are violent. There is a difference. Violence is what you did to my daughter. You hurt someone weaker than you because you could. That is not strength. That is cowardice, Krell stepped forward. Careful, human. You insult us. I am stating facts. Your species has never fought a real war. You conquer through individual combat. One warrior against another, you win because you are bigger and stronger. But you have never faced an enemy that fights as one. Taman walked slowly around them as he spoke. The 12 humans remained perfectly still watching. Humans are not the strongest species in the galaxy, Taman said. We are not the fastest. We are not the toughest. But we are very good at one thing. We are good at war. Real war. Not fighting, war. What is the difference? Vesh asked. Fighting is about individual strength. War is about coordination, strategy, and the disciplined application of force. Fighting is instinct. War is intelligence. You are about to learn which one wins. Taman stopped and looked directly at Throck. I am giving you one chance. Leave this station forever. Take your guards and go. Or stay and learn this lesson the hard way. Throck roared with anger. He charged at Taman, closing the distance in seconds. The human team moved like a machine. 3 people with riot shields stepped in front of Taman, forming a wall. Throck slammed into it. The shields held. They pushed back, forcing him into a designated area. Flashbang grenades went off. Not close enough to hurt, but close enough to blind and disorient. Throck stumbled. 2 humans with stun batons hit precise nerve points on his legs. The massive Vexier fell to his knees. The whole thing took 20 seconds. Krell and Vesh moved to help their leader. But they faced the same coordinated response. The humans did not fight them individually. They used the environment. They used teamwork. They used tactics. Krell was strong but slow. The humans kept him moving, never letting him plant his feet. They used sound weapons to confuse him. When he tried to grab one person, 2 others struck from behind. Vesh was fast but small for a Vexier. The humans corralled her into a corner using shields. She could not use her speed in a confined space. Stun weapons took away her coordination. In under 2 minutes, all 3 Vexier guards were on the ground. Conscious but unable to move, helpless. Not one human was injured. Not one human even looked tired. Taman walked over and knelt beside Throck. The Vexier's eyes burned with rage and shame. This was not a fight, Taman said quietly. This was a demonstration. Do you understand the difference now? Throck said nothing. His pride would not let him speak. You hurt my daughter thinking you were strong. You thought there would be no consequences because humans are weak. You were wrong about everything. Taman stood and addressed all 3 guards. Here are the terms. You will publicly apologize to my daughter. You will pay compensation for her medical care. And you will never threaten or harm another human on this station, ever. What if we refuse? Krell managed to say. Taman's eyes went cold as ice. Then I show you what human military doctrine looks like when we stop trying to preserve life. What you saw tonight was us being gentle. You do not want to see us when we are not. He let that sink in for a moment. This was a lesson, not punishment. Punishment would mean your scales decorating my daughter medical bay. But I am not interested in revenge. I'm interested in deterrence. From now on, you will fear humans. Not because we are violent, because we are smart. Jiwan released them from the stun weapon's effects. The 3 Vexier slowly got to their feet, shaky and defeated. They had never experienced this before. Total defeat. Complete helplessness. It broke something in their understanding of the universe. What the Vexier did not know was that someone was watching. Several someones. Jiwan had ensured that security feeds from the cargo bay were accessible to certain people. Merchant Lord Xanthi watched from his quarters, fascinated. Ambassador Urinvel watched from her office, deeply concerned. Representatives from other species watched and learned. Word would spread. The humans, previously seen as weak newcomers, had just demonstrated tactical superiority that most species did not understand. They had defeated 3 hardened warriors without anyone dying, without anyone even getting seriously hurt. This was precision. This was control. This was terrifying. Throck limped toward the exit, followed by his 2 guards. At the door, he stopped and turned back to Taman. "You have made an enemy today," he said. Taman did not smile. "No, I have taught you respect. What you do with that lesson is your choice. But know this, if you retaliate, if you harm any human on this station, what happened tonight will seem like kindness." The Vexier left. The bay fell silent. Taman's team gathered around him. They had performed perfectly. Every movement coordinated. Every action precise. This was what humans did. They turned training and discipline into overwhelming advantage. "Good work," Taman said. "Go home, rest. I do not think this is over." "You think Throck will accept this?" Jiwan asked. "I do not know." His pride was destroyed tonight. Some warriors learn from defeat. Others seek revenge. What if he calls for reinforcements? Taman looked at his friend. "Then we escalate. And we show the galaxy why humans have perfected the art of warfare over thousands of years." In his quarters, Throck sat in darkness. His body hurt, but his pride hurt worse. He had been defeated by weak humans, creatures smaller and softer than him. He could accept the terms, apologize to the human child, let this end, or he could do what his pride demanded. Call his clan's warship, bring more warriors, crush the humans through overwhelming numbers. The humans had beaten 3 Vexier. But what would they do against 18? Throck made his decision. He sent the call to his clan. 15 warriors answered immediately. They would arrive in 2 days. He did not know he was making the biggest mistake of his life. He was about to learn a lesson that his entire species would remember. He was about to discover why humans, despite being physically weak, had conquered their own planet through warfare. The galaxy was watching now, and they were about to see something they had never seen before. Human military doctrine in action against a numerically superior force. The demonstration was over. The real lesson was about to begin. Taman did not rush. That was the first thing he learned in the military. Angry people make mistakes. Smart people make plans. For 3 days he watched. He went to work like normal. He visited Hana in the medical bay every evening. He smiled at his co-workers. But inside his mind he was back in the war rooms of Earth. Most people on the station did not know about Taman's past. Before he became a logistics worker, he was Major Co Taman. He planned military operations against enemies who had more soldiers, better weapons, and stronger positions. He won by being smarter. Jiwan brought him everything he asked for. Security footage from every corner of the station, guard schedules, patrol patterns, reports on every incident involving Vexier guards in the past year. Taman studied it all. He learned that the Vexier guards never worked together. Each one patrolled alone, like a king in his territory. They never talked to each other about their routes. They never planned coordinated patrols. They just walked around looking tough and scary. This was weakness. They did not know it was weakness, but it was. He also studied Vexier culture. He read everything the station database had about their home world. The Vexier were warriors, but they had never fought a real war. On their planet, disputes were settled by single combat. The strongest warrior won. The loser submitted. They conquered other worlds the same way. A Vexier champion would challenge the strongest fighter from another species. When the Vexier won, the other species surrendered. It always worked because Vexier were bigger and stronger than most aliens, but they had never fought humans. Humans were not the strongest species. Humans were not the fastest or the toughest. But humans were very good at one thing. They were good at working together to kill things that wanted to kill them. Earth was a dangerous planet. For thousands of years, humans fought each other and fought animals and fought nature itself. They learned to make weapons. They learned to fight in groups. They learned strategy and tactics and all the ways to win when you were weaker than your enemy. The Vexier knew nothing about this. On the 4th day, Jiwan brought him a list. It had 12 names on it. "These are all the humans on the station with military training," she said. "I talked to each one. They want to help." Taman looked at the names. He knew some of them. "Did you tell them what I am planning?" "I told them a Vexier guard hurt your daughter. I told them the ambassador did nothing. I told them you are planning to do something about it." That was enough. Taman met with each person privately. There was Minji, who used to be a combat medic. There was Hyon, who knew explosives. There was Salman, who was an expert in communications. All of them had left the military and come to the station for peaceful work. But they remembered their training. He explained his plan to each of them. Not all of it at first, just enough so they understood. "I am not asking you to kill anyone," Taman said.
"I am asking you to teach a lesson."
"Will you help?" Every single one said yes. They began gathering equipment. Nothing illegal. Station maintenance tools could be used as weapons if you knew how. Communication devices were easy to get. They downloaded maps of every corridor and ventilation shaft. Taman divided his team into 3 groups. Each group had a specific job. He drew up contingency plans for every possible problem. If Plan A failed, they would use Plan B. If that failed, Plan C. He always had a backup plan. This was how humans fought. Not with individual strength, with preparation, with teamwork, with intelligence. On the 5th day, Doyen found out what they were planning. He burst into Taman's quarters, his face red with anger. "You cannot do this," Doyen said. "You cannot attack the guards. It will make everything worse." Taman looked at him calmly. "Sit down." "I will not sit down. Violence is not the answer. We need to work through proper channels. You tried proper channels. The ambassador dismissed you. Do you think she will change her mind if you ask again nicely?" Doyen had no answer for that. Taman continued. "The galaxy works on respect, but respect only comes from strength. Right now, the other species see humans as weak. They think they can hurt us without consequences. So you will hurt them back? That makes us no better than them. I am not seeking revenge. I am establishing deterrence. After this, no Vexier guard will ever touch a human child again. Not because they became nice. Because they will be afraid to." Doyen shook his head. He looked very young and very naive. "This is wrong," he said quietly. "Maybe," Taman said, "but it is necessary. You want to believe in peaceful solutions. That is good. Someone should. But sometimes peace only comes after you prove you are not weak." Doyen left without another word. That evening, Taman visited Hana. She was awake now. The regeneration sleeve had fixed her broken arm, but she still had bandages on her ribs. She looked small in the medical bed. "Dad?" she said softly. "Can we leave the station?" His heart broke a little. "Why would we leave?" "I am scared. What if that guard hurts me again?" Taman took her hand. His voice was gentle but firm. "You will never have to be scared here again. I promise you that." "How can you promise that?" "Because I am your father, and fathers protect their children." Later that night, Taman and Jiwan met in a secure room. She had the final reports ready. "Everything is ready," she said. "The team knows their positions. The equipment is prepared. We can start tomorrow." Taman studied the plans one more time. "Are you sure you want to do this?" "Once we start, there is no going back, I am sure. That guard hurt one of our children. If we do nothing, he will hurt more. This will change how the other species see us." "Good. Right now, they see us as victims. Maybe it is time they saw us as something else." Taman nodded slowly. "There is an old saying from Earth, si vis pacem para bellum. What does it mean? If you want peace, prepare for war. The Vexier only understand strength. Tomorrow they will learn what human strength really means." Jiwan looked at her old friend. She had served under him years ago. She knew what he was capable of when he stopped being a gentle father and became Major Ko again. "The Vexier think they are warriors," she said. "They have no idea what is coming." Taman closed the file. His eyes were cold and focused. "Tomorrow we begin. Not with violence. With strategy. Not with anger. With precision. We will show them the difference between fighting and warfare." He stood and walked to the window. Outside, the station bustled with life. Aliens of every species moved through the corridors, unaware of what was about to happen. "The Vexier hurt my daughter because they thought there would be no consequences," Taman said quietly. "They were wrong." Taman Ko walked through the metal corridors of Station Aegis 7 with his daughter Hana beside him. The morning shift had just begun, and aliens of every shape and size moved around them. Some had scales, some had fur, and some looked like walking insects. Hana loved watching them all. Taman was a quiet man. He worked in logistics, managing supply chains and making sure goods moved smoothly through the station. It was boring work, but it paid well. More importantly, it kept him and his daughter safe. After his wife died 5 years ago, safety was all that mattered. They reached the academy where Hana studied with children from different worlds. She turned to her father with bright eyes. "We are studying ocean life today," she said. "Did you know the Kalesh people can breathe underwater?" Taman smiled. "That sounds interesting. Learn everything you can." Hana hugged him and ran toward the entrance. Taman watched her go, then headed to his office. He did not know this would be the last normal morning for a long time. Hours later, Taman sat at his desk reviewing shipping schedules. His communicator beeped. It was Jiwon Park, the head of human security on the station. "Taman," Jiwon said quietly, "you need to come to the medical bay now." His heart stopped. "What happened?" "It is Hana. She is hurt." "Come quickly," Taman ran. He pushed through crowds of aliens, his mind racing. When he reached the medical bay, Jiwon met him at the door. Her face was angry. Inside, Hana lay on a medical bed. Her right arm was wrapped in a glowing sleeve that helped broken bones heal. White bandages covered her chest. She was asleep, her face pale and tear-stained. A Solari doctor stood nearby. The insect-like alien turned to face Taman. "Your offspring has a fractured arm and 2 cracked ribs," the doctor said in a flat voice. "She will recover in 2 weeks." Taman's voice was quiet but dangerous. "What happened?" "She collided with a Vexier guard in Corridor 12. The guard corrected her behavior." Taman turned to Jiwon. "Show me." Jiwon pulled up security footage on a small screen. Taman watched his daughter running through a corridor, late for class. She turned a corner and bumped into something huge. The Vexier guard was over 7 feet tall, covered in dark green scales. His name was Throck, the leader of the station guards. When Hana bumped into him, he barely moved. But his eyes turned toward her with cold anger. Hana apologized. She bowed her head and said sorry 3 times. The video had no sound, but Taman could see her lips moving. Throck reached down and grabbed her arm. He lifted her off the ground with one hand. Hana struggled, scared. Then Throck slammed her against the metal wall. Taman heard his daughter scream even though the video had no sound. He watched her crumple to the floor when Throck released her. The guard looked down at her for a moment, then walked away. Other aliens in the corridor saw everything. None of them helped. Jiwon stopped the video. Taman stared at the frozen image of his daughter on the ground. "I will file a complaint," Jiwon said. "But you know how it will go," Taman knew. The Vexer were a warrior race. They controlled most of the security on the station. They saw humans as weak newcomers to the galaxy. When a Vexier guard hurt someone, the station officials called it discipline. He sat beside his daughter and took her good hand. It was small and warm. He remembered teaching her to ride a bicycle when she was 6. He remembered her first day of school. He remembered his wife making them both laugh at dinner. Something changed in Taman's eyes. The gentle father disappeared. In his place sat someone else. Someone cold and calculating. Jiwon saw it. She had known Taman for 8 years. She knew what he used to be before he became a simple logistics worker. "Taman," she said carefully, "do not do anything stupid." He looked at her. "I need all the security footage from the past month. Everything involving Vexier guards. What are you planning? I need to make a call first." Later that day, Doyen Lee tried to help. The young diplomat assistant went to see Ambassador Yurin Vel. She was a high-ranking Solari who represented the Galactic Union on the station. Doyen explained what happened to Hana. He showed the video. He asked for justice. The ambassador watched with her large compound eyes. "This is unfortunate," she said. "But the human child should have been more careful around a Vexier guard." "She apologized," Doyen said. "She did nothing wrong. The Vexier have different customs. What seems harsh to humans is normal discipline to them. The matter is closed." Doyen returned to the human quarter angry and defeated. He found Jiwon outside the medical bay. The ambassador refused to help, he said. Jiwon nodded. "I expected that. What will Taman do?" "I do not know. But I know what he used to do." That night, Taman sat in his quarters. His room was small but clean. He had 3 screens open in front of him. One showed the video of Hana being hurt. He watched it again and again. The second screen showed files on the Vexier guards, their schedules, their patrol routes, their habits. The third screen showed a communication channel. It was encrypted and very private. Taman typed a message to someone on Earth. Jiwon entered without knocking. She saw what he was doing and sat down. "Are you sure about this?" she asked. Taman kept watching the video. "They think violence makes them strong," he said quietly. They hurt my daughter because they could, because no one would stop them. So you will stop them? No, Taman said. I will teach them something. Teach them what? He finally looked at her. His eyes were cold as ice. The difference between violence and war. The first move was subtle, so subtle that the Vexier guards did not even notice at first. Krell was one of the biggest Vexier on the station. He had scales like dark armor and enjoyed making smaller species afraid. He patrolled the commercial district where merchants sold goods from across the galaxy. On the 6th day, his communicator started acting strange. Messages arrived late. The audio had static. When he tried to call other guards, the connection dropped. Krell went to the technical support office. A human technician looked at his device. There is a software issue, the technician said. Many devices are having problems. We are working on it. The technician was named Hyun. He was part of Taman's team. The software issue was not an accident. One by one, all the Vexier guards started having communication problems. They could not talk to each other easily. This was the first step in isolating them. The next change was in their schedules. Throck received a notification that his patrol route had changed. Instead of the main corridors where many aliens walked, he was assigned to the industrial sector. It was far from other guards. Throck did not question it. The schedule came through official channels. Taman had access to those channels through his logistics work. A few changed numbers in a database, and suddenly the Vexier guards were spread across the station, far from each other. On the 7th day, Krell walked through a maintenance corridor. The lights flickered. This area was usually busy with workers, but today it was empty. Krell felt something strange. For the first time in his life, he felt alone. Then he saw them. 3 humans in maintenance uniforms stood at the end of the corridor. They just stood there watching him. Krell stomped toward them. Move, he growled. The humans did not move. They did not look scared. They just watched him with calm eyes. Krell charged. He was huge and fast, but the corridor was narrow. The humans moved with practiced precision. They split apart using the walls to their advantage. Krell tried to grab one, but something bright flashed in his eyes. A blinding light, then came a loud noise. Not painful, but so loud it confused him. His ears rang. When his vision cleared, the humans were gone. They had disappeared through a maintenance hatch, sealing it behind them. Krell stood alone in the corridor, confused and slightly embarrassed. He tried to call for backup, but his communicator only produced static. The same thing happened to Vesh the next day. She was smaller and faster than other Vexier. She prided herself on her speed, but when she chased 2 humans through a storage area, they vanished into spaces too small for her to follow. They appeared behind her, made noise, and disappeared again. It was like fighting ghosts. Over 2 days, every Vexier guard had a similar experience. Brief encounters with humans who seemed to appear and vanish at will. Nothing violent. No one got hurt, but it was deeply unsettling. The Vexier were warriors. They were used to fighting enemies who stood and faced them. But these humans did not fight. They just appeared, made the guards feel confused and helpless, then disappeared. Because of the communication problems, the guards could not talk to each other easily. Each one thought they were the only one having these strange encounters. Each one felt alone. This was psychological warfare. Taman was not trying to hurt them yet. He was trying to make them feel uncertain. To take away their confidence. Merchant Lord Xanthi noticed the change. He was a Kalesh trader who sold expensive goods on the station. He had large eyes that saw everything, and a clever mind that understood what he saw. The Vexier guards usually walked with arrogance. They expected everyone to move out of their way. But now they looked nervous. They glanced over their shoulders. They seemed uncertain. Xanthi made inquiries. He learned about the human child who was injured. He learned about Taman Ko, the quiet logistics worker. Then he learned about Major Ko Taman, the military strategist who once planned operations that defeated forces 10 times larger than his own. The merchant smiled to himself. This would be interesting to watch. Finally, reports reached Throck. His guards came to him one by one, describing strange encounters with humans. At first he dismissed them. You are Vexier warriors, he said. You are afraid of weak humans? But the reports kept coming. Throck began to realize something was happening, something organized. Someone mentioned the human child he had disciplined. Throck barely remembered her. The small one who bumped into me? Her father is named Taman Ko, Krell said. He works in logistics, Throck laughed. A logistics worker? You think a human who manages shipping schedules is behind this? He did not take it seriously. This was his mistake. Ambassador Urinvel also heard about the strange behavior. She summoned Taman to her office. Taman arrived looking calm and confused. The Vexir guards claim humans are harassing them, the ambassador said. Taman tilted his head. Harassing them? How? They say humans appear and disappear, following them, making them uncomfortable. Ambassador, humans work in maintenance all over the station. We have to move through corridors and access tunnels for our jobs. If the guards feel nervous, perhaps they are simply paranoid. The ambassador studied him with her insect eyes. She was not stupid. She sensed something. Is this about your daughter? Taman's face showed nothing. My daughter is recovering well, thank you for asking. She still has nightmares about being slammed against a wall by a guard who faced no consequences, but she is recovering. The ambassador understood the threat in those words, but she had no proof of any wrongdoing. I will be watching the human community closely, she said. Of course, Ambassador. We are all law-abiding citizens here. That night, Taman met with his team in a secure room. They had been invisible ghosts for 2 days, appearing and disappearing, making the Vexir guards feel hunted instead of hunters. Good work, Taman said. The first phase is complete. The guards are isolated. They cannot communicate well. They are nervous and uncertain. What is the next phase? Minji asked. Taman pulled up a tactical map on the screen. Now we show them what real dominance looks like. Tomorrow we stop playing Ghost. Tomorrow we engage directly. Are we going to fight them? Somin asked. No, we are going to teach them. The Vexir think fighting is about individual strength. They have never experienced coordinated tactical suppression. Tomorrow they learn the difference. Juan stood beside him looking at the map. It showed a cargo bay in the industrial sector. An empty space where no one would interfere. You are going to call them out? She asked. Yes. I am going to invite Throck to a meeting. He will come because his pride demands it. He will bring his strongest guards because he wants to intimidate me. And we will show him what happens when you bring primitive warrior instincts to face modern military doctrine. The team checked their equipment one final time. Non-lethal weapons, riot shields, flashbang grenades, communication headsets that linked them all together. Everything they needed to turn 12 individuals into one coordinated unit. This was what made humans dangerous. Not strength, not speed, organization, coordination, the ability to fight as one entity with 12 bodies. Taman sent the message to Throck through official channels. Simple and direct. We need to talk about what happened to my daughter. Come to Cargo Bay 7 at midnight. Come alone or bring your guards. I do not care. Throck received the message and laughed. The weak human finally wanted to talk. This would be amusing. He decided to bring Krell and Vesh. They would teach this human his place. He had no idea he was walking into a demonstration, a lesson in warfare that his species had never learned.